Howard Lindzan is the founder and general partner at Social Leverage. All opinions expressed by Howard and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Social Leverage or StockTwits. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for decisions. Guests may maintain positions and securities discussed in this podcast.
Hello, this is President Donald Trump, and you're listening to Lindzanity with Howard Lindzan. I hate that guy.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Lindzanity. Today, very good friend, old friend, deliverer of the... I brought a gift. You know, if you're going to come on my show, you should bring a gift. What do you call this?
Pooter.
So the Pooter is my new little toy. And so we're going to be talking about Benzinga, stock market, early days of social leverage. Welcome my friend Jason Raznick. All right, everybody, welcome to Lindzanity. I have a very good friend in the room.
Hello,
Jason,
Howard.
what's your last name?
Something Raznick.
Hang on. What'd you have for breakfast?
A lot of beans.
Jason brought a great toy. This is why Jason and I are good friends. Jason thinks like a child.
That's how you do it, gentlemen.
Can you put corporate logos on this?
That's a good idea.
Yes.
That's how you got your start. That's not how you...
We'll get into this. This is my interview of you. Chill out. Okay. So you didn't need Adderall. Actually, you need an Ambien to get the pace down on this show. So where'd you get this gift? What's this product called?
It's called, there's a couple names for it. There's a guy, Jack Vale, on YouTube. He calls it the Pooter. And he goes into Walmarts and does it all day. I mean, come on. You got to...
That's like my dog farted.
Wait, watch, guys. Just watch.
The Pooter? Yeah. Dude, this is an icebreaker at any kind. I mean, if you took this to the Taliban, if you brought this to Camp David, there'd be peace.
They'd have to laugh.
Yeah. So basically, we're already off topic. So this is basically how Lindzanity works. So we're old friends. How did we meet?
So I think it was like 2008, 2007. You were on Twitter. When did you join Twitter? What year? Do you remember?
Andy Swan got me into it. I used to make fun of it.
Yeah.
Because I would go to the I was on a BlackBerry.
I was just going to say this.
And I was like tweeting, I went to the bathroom here, I went to the bathroom there, and all the VCs who were using Twitter laughed. They were laughing.
You talked about your urinary peeing all the time. That's what you talked about.
I go, that's all it's good for.
And I joined Twitter after you, after watching you and Andy Swan, the whole group. We had our own little tight-knit group back then.
I was like 9 different names, too. Phil Perlman and I were every CNBC person, and we would talk about... We would start fights amongst the CNBC people because we owned their domain names, and we would talk about bad breath and
and there was nothing they could do. And we had this little group. There was not just him. There's other guys. Upside Trader, remember him? Yeah. He was all over.
At 4:00, he started drinking. By 6:00,
he was we had this group. I almost wish we could go back to that group just for a little bit to experience. So it was a group of 100 people. But you tweeted
Todd
Stoudemire, baseball player. Yeah, and that was one of your Arizona guy. Yeah. So. You treated hey guys, I need to be able to read stock stuff. You were always a stock nut, and so you needed to read it. And you're like, I need a way to filter stocks, and I need a way to filter. And so we talked actually. I go, hey, I haven't, So we got on the phone. But then another, I think Soren or whatever, said, hey, maybe the dollar symbol. So he went forward with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how we originally met.
Yeah, I basically put StockTwits' idea out on Twitter. Soren answered it.
Yes.
I think it was Chris Corvo and myself and Soren came up with the
Chris
dollar
came
sign.
later, but maybe.
He might have come later, but I think the hashtag was his idea, at least the naming of it.
Okay.
And I was loved it from the minute. No one liked the idea, but hashtag now lives. I think Square, when you sign into Square now, this fucker, Jack, calls it the hashtag. I mean, they've stolen. Listen, great company. Between Square and Twitter, they have stolen and misappropriated so much nomenclature from their community.
Yep.
It's really fascinating. I'm proud of it. When I signed into Square Cash the other day and I saw get your dollar sign name, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
It was because I remember you were
I was having a... I wasn't upset. I was just the guy has no sense of style. Forget style. He has sense of style. No sense of just being a nice, like just a human being. It's so bizarre.
Very serious, like
we've never had a word.
You ever see those shirts?
Like how about like just and I remember when they appropriated the cash tag, it's like no big deal. Like we don't have a patent, we don't have a trademark. It's just like the hashtag. And I remember they made some big announcement. The guy's now running Instagram. I was so offended the way they just said we invented, the cash
the guy
tag.
that Twitter.
Yeah. And it was just,
I thought they'd get credit because you did filter that noise out. And now when people like at Benzinga write stories, they're using the cash tag.
Yeah.
Like they're using it's like
the first one I sent, I think, was to Fred Wilson. Blackberries at the time was 2007, and Fred, this is why he's the OG, he tweeted me back saying this is fucking genius. And Fred says something's genius, I don't care about what any other people say. When your mentors say that's genius, and that's even if it leads you down a path of hell, which this has been, and by hell I mean I'm not rich from it. Yep. I'm rich in terms of fulfillment, but not in terms of.
Well, you talked about that yesterday. In this social leverage economy, your idea, like the one that you worked on for the last 10 years, doesn't have to be what make you rich. It could be some of your investments in some of the startups, like a Robinhood or what have you, which is interesting.
So we'll talk about that. Power law.
Power law.
I'm fascinated by, and again, this is a VC term, by power law. If you put yourself. And you do this all the time because you're a master networker. I mean, master networker, because you're doing it from like a place in the world that nobody's networking, Michigan. But the idea of power law, there's so many things about power law. Stocks used to have power law. If you bought Amazon because you thought, or eToys, there was a chance of power law. These were $200 million IPOs. The internet was just starting. And much like private deals, they could go down 90%, but they could still be home runs. The stock market, there's no way the stock market has that anymore. Because these companies come public at $40 billion, Uber's not going to drop 90% and then make its comeback. It's already late stage company.
It's such a different market. We have a company in Michigan going public this week called Smile Direct. Have you ever heard of it?
I think that's a cool kind of buy play.
Yeah. It's going public this week at a $10 billion valuation. The guys who started it had two other companies that failed. They live right down the street from me. And it's,
in what part? In Detroit? Or
in Detroit. Two guys and father started it. They had two other companies before that didn't really work out. And then they saw this idea, and they just kept building. But
there's that retail store that does the bases, too. And that stock was a home run for a while.
Invisalign.
Oh, so that's Invisalign. This is different.
This is Smile Direct Club. And they do like a whole thing.
And they have big VCs in that. Maybe GGV. I'm trying to think who they have in that.
I don't know if they do. But.
So power law is, and I'm trying to get young people. Young people get it, but they don't call it power law. Meaning, use your network to position yourself for a wave. You don't need one wave. You don't need to catch that one wave, right? Surfers are always chasing the perfect wave, but in our business, you can't predict which one's going to be the big one.
So when you're looking at investments, you're like, okay, is there a good jockey, but you don't know if this is going to be the huge one? Like maybe this will give the power law one, or is it like?
You try as you get more professional, and I use that term loosely. I think you're trying to gauge the founders, see if they have enough. Because I've learned a lot more since I was writing checks willy-nilly. But you try and sit down with founders.
I joined you on some of those willy-nilly ones. Yeah. Remember the ones like very smart guys? Like I don't want to, Okay.
So you try and size it up and go, not just are they great founders, because Baiju and Vlad, if I look at Todd Davis at LifeLock or Mike Lazaro at Buddy Media or Baiju and Vlad at Robinhood or Brad and Jeremy at Customer.com.
Or eToro.
Or, good point, or Yoni at eToro. So those are the big ones. I'm not going to count a WAG because the founders are gone and the brothers they were crazy smart, but like crazy it seems like too. So the ones that I've broken out, the founders all were special for sure. And Brett Wilson at TwoMogul, and then the other guys at Ticketfly, Dan Turee, and Andrew Dreskin at Ticketfly. So those are the ones that have like changed my life in terms of like I can't believe I was there at the beginning, help them sit in the room with those people. It's like now 8 companies that have become, almost billion-dollar companies. You knew right away. Yeah, you just knew right away.
Because okay.
Yeah, and so you're always trying to find that magic. I guess it's the same for musicians when they're trying to collaborate with different different teams. And then there's other ones where you just love the founder and you're rooting for him, and it's just hard to make everything go right because, LifeLock, Todd Davis was just a simple pitch from day one. It's
well, one of the ones I'm invested in, StockX.
Luber's great. He's now he's now not CEO.
He's not CEO. They brought the guy from.
It's a great idea,
Scott. Yeah. But I was in the room where it happened when they're picking the logos out. When they're like.
But I thought my story when I interviewed Josh, and I got to get him on the show. He said, basically what's his name?
Dan Gilbert
hijacked him. And invited him to a basketball game and then just locked him upstairs. Not locked him up like a prison, but they said, I'm not going to let you leave until we do a deal.
They were both yeah, that's right. They were both working on similar. I'm not word hijack, but they both worked on similar. We're working on similar concepts. Josh had Campless collecting data. Dan had his kids.
He had the blue book of shoes.
He had the Kelly Blue Book. You're good. You're good. Yeah. Kelly Blue Book of shoes. Yeah. Dan wanted to create this. He's like, this is ridiculous. Why is there price? There should be price discovery. Should be verified. Dan had this marketplace concept. Him and his sons were working on it.
Yeah.
And Luber was out in Philadelphia, and he's like, they reached out. They flew him in for a Cavs game,
and he stayed for 4 days.
He stayed for 4 days. Sat front row, whole thing. I give you more, and then they figured out a deal. And literally, I remember being in the room and they were picking up the logos, the name. They had 4 other names going at the time. And so we're voting on the names. And when you're seeing that, you're like, for that to be successful, you gotta seed that market, buyers and sellers. And they've
had him come speak. The kid's a phenom. Yeah. I don't know if I would have caught. He's like a savant at the shoe stuff. So, and we did Rally Road, which is kind of similar.
Yeah.
And I like the team just as much as I like Josh. I've only sat with Josh once. Ryan Spoon introduced me to him. I saw his TED Talk, blew me away. And of all the people that my son gets to meet,
that was his favorite.
I think that was his favorite because he gets this. My son doesn't buy any of this stuff because he has no money. But I've never seen a kid like my son know everything about fashion and shoes. We were in Vegas. I took my son to Vegas. Funny story this week. And snuck him into Vegas with the fake ID. And
hope that went okay.
It didn't go okay. We were officially banned from the Encore and Win. We were escorted out of the casino by hand.
And you weren't counting cards, were you?
No, we were just trying to get into an EDM show. But and the bouncers just looked at Max and said, I don't care what that ID looks like. That's not fucking you.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, Max was like, they were ganging up on Max. And it was pretty intense for him. For me, it was funny. So
if you had had the farting device and you did that, everyone could have laughed.
Dude, I'm telling you, you can walk in there with a gun, but a 20-year-old can't go into an EDM concert for $1,500 that we had paid and get into the show. The whole country is bizarre in that way.
Yes.
So we're sitting playing black, and his ID worked for blackjack. We're sitting playing blackjack. Who's sitting next to him? Kevin Systrom. And I know Kevin. I've interviewed him. So I go, Kevin. And Kevin did not want to be bothered, but Kevin knows me. So they're sitting next to each other at the blackjack table. My son, who the dealer goes, I think you look 15. Like, my son hands the dealer his it's my cousin. It's his first cousin's a year older ID. And Max is like shaking his hand. He hands the ID over. And they put it through under a black light. It's a legit on the driver's license. They hand it back. So Max gets his chips. I gave him like $75 to bet with, and he puts $15 minimum table. Max was like, "Well,
that's
expensive."
System
was at the $15 table.
Wow.
With his buddies, he had his whole crew, and they're wearing
Supreme
clothes. Yeah, so they're wearing. And System's got to be 38, and he's wearing. He starts talking to Max, and he goes, "Max, what do you think of these shoes?" And they're like $4,000 all. I don't know. They're called all whites or something.
I have no idea.
And he's wearing do you know what all whites are? Okay. Yeah. And then he's got a T-shirt on with an X on it, and Max goes, "That's a $2,000 T-shirt."
Oh my god.
And I'm like, how does first of all my son know that? And I go, second of all, who puts on a fucking T-shirt for $2,000? This is what's going on in the world. This is the only way these people can differentiate themselves. So Max and him. They're playing $15 blackjack, and he's wearing $6,000 worth of sneakers.
And we're wearing like $60. That's freaking crazy.
And I just start sweating because I go, Max, this is not good. Yeah. But he was unimpressed by Kevin Systrom.
He really was, but
by Josh Luber and everything, he was impressed.
Yeah. Did Systrom win or lose or bet a lot of money?
Wasn't watching. He was there with a lot of people with mohawk haircuts. Systrom's a great guy. I interviewed him. He's fucking super smart.
Is he?
I remember interviewing him when there were just 4 people. And I think they were bought when they were 8 people, but I remember when it was just 4 guys sitting around a work desk like this.
Yeah.
And it was just blowing up.
Did you know that was going to blow? Oh, that was already blown up.
Well, yeah, we were already doing an interview for StockTwits when, lovely guys. So anyways, back on topic.
But one thing
everybody should have the joy of power law. Everybody should have their job. Everybody should love what they do.
When Josh, I'm stealing one story. Cavs, Cleveland Cavaliers, Dan Gilbert, were in the Golden State Warriors championship, stealing a story. Josh Luber is sitting front row for a quarter or two. And
is he living there now?
In San Francisco or Detroit?
Is Josh living in Detroit?
Yeah, lives in Detroit. So he's sitting front row. What's his name again? Mark Benioff. His son Mark Benioff's son calls his dad and says, "Dad, you're sitting 2 seats away from Josh Luber." Mm-hmm. So Josh Luber, Mark him introduce himself, and then Mark Benioff becomes an investor in StockX.
Oh, Benioff's probably, I would say, the best investor in the world.
Could be.
People don't know that, but I mean, he has access. He writes checks.
I think he should have invested. I had someone pitch him on HubSpot when it was at $50. HubSpot was my pick of the year, like a year. And every couple of years, I have a pick of like you got to go all in.
You did nail that one.
I get HubSpot at 50, 60, and now it's at 200. It's one of these SaaS plays that
they continually evolve. The thing about that company, and I have to say I hate it because General Catalyst, criminal organization.
Oh, yes.
Is an investor, and actually the guy on the board is the guy I just can't stand.
Oh.
But anyway, so, listen, I think the lesson is bad people can get rich, but the actual product and the way that market was not a big market.
It wasn't, you're right.
And they've just exploded the whole market.
They exploded, and then you just mentioned the pivot.
Little companies use HubSpot.
Yeah, and now they're using it for the CRM.
It used to be like huge companies that use it.
So the power law thing, now going back to your thing, is you find like a area, and that's how like
you become an expert. It's like no different than Tiger Wood 10,000 hours. The sooner kids can find their passion, not every kid finds it at the same time. I was in my 30s before I figured out I even knew what a mentor was. I had bad mentor. So again, all we're trying to do with our kids and young kids, my nephews and stuff, is introduce them to things early in life that can get them excited. My one nephew worked for SecFi. My another nephew worked for Cloudflare in Austin.
Oh, really?
Another one of my nephews works for Indeed. These are kids whose parents were lawyers, doctors, and accountants. And that's what they thought they were going to be. You know what I mean? And that's what I thought I had to be.
Yeah.
And there's no power law in a world where you're going to be a doctor. There's middle class and there's upper middle class.
Yeah.
But there's not real freedom. I've never met a 60-year-old lawyer that's happy. In fact, a lot of them are leaving in their 50s to just go take underpaid jobs so they can have some quality of life back because it's a miserable existence. So there's a lot of myths about that middle class, whether it's coal miners, how good was that era? Like people were dying from fucking asbestos.
So you still do this shit because you love it?
I love it because, first of all these companies need talent. And so I know people who have talent. Like it's so much fun helping companies hire people. The hardest part, and you know this from running your business, and we'll get into it in a sec, is actually recruiting for your own business. Yeah. Because you may not think your business is the best, and it's you want people that you like to go work at companies that are exploding.
Right.
And it's very rare in someone's life to latch themselves onto a rocket ship. So to have seen it happen, as many times as I've seen it happen, it's a drug. Even though I'm not in it, it's a drug to be around it.
You know what's crazy?
And that's what it used to be probably for people who hung around backstage groupies with rock stars.
And then they take off. You know what's crazy? Like the power law you're talking about. Everyone wants to be so smart, but no one really knows, including myself. I have my certificate of selling my Amazon shares at $7. I keep it on my phone to remember. Mm-hmm. But then when they introduced AWS, I wrote an article for Real Money. And I think it was Doug Cass and Kramer ripped me. This is the demise of Amazon in the sense that they do e-commerce. Now they're going to be selling hosting costs. And I thought, I was 26 years old, 27. I basically thought, okay, they're diversifying. They're going to cut their costs there. They'll minimize their hosting. This is a great thing. So I bought more shares. But then these guys who are way older than me, or not way older, but older than me, and are experts, I'm like, okay, I'm
talking to the street level kids. If you would talk to people that were benefiting from AWS, all these little companies, that's when the boom started.
It was like $170.
You could trace back the boom in startups to AWS in a way, because it's not just Twitter and Facebook, but they needed AWS. But it was the fact that all these little companies
look at Netflix on
didn't
AWS.
have to buy Dell servers to get their whole, You didn't need to have 3 extra people to run your server
I mean,
farm.
Netflix uses AWS, and that's like, I mean, that's the thing. You're right. It's the younger person who's growing up on these products, the TikToks of the world.
Yeah.
Like they are the
talk
ones.
To anybody over 40 anymore.
You just like it's.
No, I mean we talk to people who are 20. What are you using?
Yeah.
Why are you using it? How do you spend your time? Where's your attention?
Yeah.
All right, so now let's go back into
one thing that you
origin
did
story.
before anyone else. Another thing I'll give you credit for. You shared your home screen, and sharing the home screen is identifiable trends. I used to go to the App Store to look what is number 1, 2, 3 for investment ideas. Yeah. You sharing your home screen. So then you know what I started doing? I would go to like holiday Rosh Hashanah dinners, and my nieces or these cousins would think I'm like a stalker, some weird guy. I'm like, can I see your home screen?
Yeah.
And like they didn't know what and
less signal in that today, but at the beginning there was. We've
in the home screen?
We've left the app world a little bit.
Yeah.
And we've moved on to other things, which is what happens. All right, so let's Benzinga.
Yes, sir.
This is your company.
Yep, started in 2000.
What does Benzinga mean?
I used to say in this foreign language means something, but I was one of those kids.
Excuse you.
Okay. He's getting better at it. But I was one of those kids that was a slow learner. My speech wasn't great. That was
Jason,
great.
Apologize.
My grandfather would take me to speech tutor. We'd make up words, a bunch of random words.
Did you have? You had.
I was just
you were a slow kid.
I don't even know what it was.
Were you born with white hair? Because you look well put together. Those glasses, you spent a lot of time. Dude, it looks good. A little bit red skin, the white glasses. What do you think?
I need to lose some weight. Good. Howard
you need to lose some weight.
Howard is very good at the weight thing. If I see him in like 3 weeks at Oktoberfest, I'll be like, okay, I need to lose some weight. And Phil yesterday was coming back to the team. Yeah, looks great. He gave me a whole lecture about this whole sugar thing. He got me on this stuff. I need to lose weight because I love when you say, Jason, you look good here. You know, when you and Ellen, you both would come up to me and say, I look good, and that makes me feel good.
Maybe once I've said that.
You said it like twice, out of like 10 times. But right now, I'm in the stage where I need to lose it.
Well, you're a CEO. It's a headache.
Yeah. So Benzinga, the word was made up. It's a word like when I was going to speech tutor. Back in like first grade, they said I'd never be able to read and that kind of stuff, or to my parents.
And can you?
I can read.
Okay.
I can read. I went to Michigan, Ross School of Business, the whole fucking thing. It was called Ross.
I think Michigan, I dated a girl there. I had the opposite. I was super smart and I was an underachiever.
Yeah. So
and I ended up at Windsor, which is basically take DeVry, knock it down a few notches, stick it in like the worst part of the United States. I went to school in Windsor. I don't know, University of Windsor. It's for people.
Oh my God,
it's basically the gulag. Yeah. And it's where you go and you feel shame. Remember that Steve Martin thing? You feel shame. No, that was from
I don't know. See,
that's Slap Shot. So I dated a girl. So I got one of my friends introduced me to
girl in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, Lisa Wax.
I remember. Not Lisa. But.
Yeah, so the Wax family. They're from.
Do you still talk to her?
No, I don't. She lives in Alaska. She's an outdoorsy girl. But I had the best year of my life because it was Scotty Skiles at Michigan State, and it was like beginning of the Fab Five.
No, it was
Michigan.
Before the Fab Five, right?
It was Ramil Robinson. So it was just before Fab Five, but maybe one of the Fab Five was there.
No, but I think you won a championship.
Yeah, so I would go back and forth.
Wait,
were
you there in
games.
'89? I don't even know when you were there.
So I was there in '89.
You won a championship. That's what it was. It was Terry Mills, Ramil Robinson. The Fab Five was like a few years
No, but there was another guy too. It wasn't just. There were some great players, but it was
Roger Ianberg there?
I didn't know Roger at the time. Okay. But anyways, I ended up. We should have been the worst year of my life. I got my shit together because I had this girlfriend in Michigan. She lived with 5 other girls. We were like. It was like I was this cool dude in Michigan that would drive down 30 minutes. Only 30 minutes from Windsor over the bridge.
Yep.
Go to Michigan. Then I would go to the field house to watch Scotty Skiles play and beat up people after the game.
Yep.
And he was I think he was one of the most exciting college players ever.
Yeah.
It was Scotty Skiles for what he was.
Yep.
And so that turned out to be a great year for me. I have great memories of Michigan, even though I would go to Greek town and Mexican town and just watch crime happen from a restaurant. I would be in a restaurant, I'd be this close to the window, and right outside the window they'd be bashing cars and lighting them on fire.
So
I was like 18 years old going, I can't believe I'm watching this.
I hear you. Detroit is the opposite of that now. So Dan Gilbert, with the start of him, he came down during the Detroit bankruptcy, started buying buildings, owns like 80, 90, 100 buildings. I do stuff with him, but Detroit is on a whole renaissance. No, if you come there, I'm gonna get you there for a big thing we're doing in 6 months. But you're gonna come and you're gonna see. No, you're giving this. You're gonna be. You can't talk about it. You have to experience it.
I'm with you. I've heard great things. I've seen documentaries, but at the same time, I'm sure it's doing better than when it was. But when I was there, it was fucking scary. It was like watching another world. It was like Beirut. But I'd go to Mexican town, it was great food. Go to Greek town, it was great food. I never had a problem. I'm just saying there was like a world going on that if you made the wrong turn,
you survived to live it, you know?
Yeah. So Benzinga started in Michigan.
Yeah, and so the thing I was saying about me, he's underachiever, overachiever, when LRC, Mrs. Kent, told my parents I never able to read, it created this insatiable appetite to be successful. When people tell you no, I started a financial media company when there's 1,000 financial media companies.
That's true. You've done Herculean work.
And I've done like brokerage review sites, like a bunch of different random sites like that. And where I've built technology. I said online dating sites in 2000. I took every niche. So I owned Michigan Jews, Michigan Indians, Chicago Jews, Chicago Motor City Singles, Picky Singles. Back in 2000, I had 20,000 members. This was 2000 to 2002. But back to the Benzinga thing, there was a hole in the market for small cap news. Everyone was covering the Facebooks, Googles, but no one was covering small cap. That's how this started.
But no one was covering. Was it an interest of yours, or you just saw a hole?
Hugely. So I was living at Eastern University in 2000, and I'm obsessed with the stock market. Okay. You can ask me any CEO name, I would tell you. I was a fucking loser, obsessed with the stock market. Just honest. I have tapes of CNBC.
Did you have white hair?
I should have.
You have tapes of CNBC. Say no more.
VHS. Yeah, it was. Okay.
Say no more.
So I literally would take these companies and I'd reach out to the CEO and I said I lived on East University. I said I was East Capital. The CEOs would start writing back to me, and I'd go to Yahoo message boards and post. All of a sudden, the stocks would move when I'm posting. Stockman 7, I'm posting these things, and the stocks are moving. I didn't know what I had. I should have went to a hedge fund then because I really was good at research, and I found out really impactful stuff. And then after 9/11 happened, I got even way better. I found these companies, and many years later, 8 years later, I'm like, why isn't there a crowdsourced small cap news feed? So you take Twitter. So no one was using Twitter as a news source, and they were not using it. Stocks were using it as a social, everyone to curate their opinions. I was looking to find the experts who were like at the FDA and like tweeting stuff undercover. So I used Twitter as like the social thing to write news on small cap companies. So I'd break stories. And what happened was brokerages changed their model, and they're like, hey, if you can cover the whole financial sector, the whole market, will switch to you guys. So basically all these brokerages, or most of them, have switched to us for financial news and data, like just the data. And we have a newsroom of like 30 people.
I mean, you grinded it, and you built a great business.
Grinded it, and that's exactly, and it's like a hustle. We do like cannabis. It's like people like think it's overplayed, whatever. Maybe there's some things, but like we're going to do a Benzinga cannabis event in Chicago, October 22nd. And literally there'll be 1,000 people there, 400 companies, 500 investors that are looking to put money in these next things who have land. It's like the whole thing. And then I just like see holes. Like there's all these award shows. Like there was nothing for fintech, so we created the BZ FinTech Awards in November 22nd. You should be there. We should give you the award.
I told you that would have been. Sector should have done like an Academy Awards, and we should have just goofed on all this stuff.
Yeah, because you could do. I mean, like Josh Brown hosts it. He's hilarious. But you and Josh should do a comedy show. Yeah,
I think what you and I appreciate about their industry is that it's funny. Like they're not funny. Yeah, it's when I started Wallstrip, the whole idea was let's just harpoon these people. And you know what?
Greatest show ever.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm not kidding. Right now, you guys should take a clip and go off and show the Wallstrip one of them playing. We didn't start. Come on, remember Howard? Do it. Let's go.
But
you don't remember it?
I remember
you make
all
me
of
look
it.
silly now.
I dread.
It's amazing.
Who
was the lady? Who was the
Lindsay Campbell? But the whole point of this is, I was inspired by Letterman. What's his name from Comedy Central?
I know who you're talking about. Come on, guys. Comedy Central. You can bring his name.
We're having a double senior moment.
Yeah.
He's only the best talk show host ever. But ever. It was Johnny Carson, David Letterman, and then what's his name? And so the idea was, let's just do my fantasy forever, and you can relate to this because you have these same fantasies because we're both bizarre, is having a talk show late at night like this.
Yeah.
And I'd be smoking. I could smoke cigarettes. I could smoke weed. I could smoke cigarettes. I could do a bong hit. I could take, do an Adderall. I wanted to do this silly show with the smartest people in the world who weren't famous, but were famous because they had money. And we'd talk about how their broker screwed them or what's the worst investment they ever made. I can't believe that show had never been done. So I remember pitching Fred Wilson, and that wasn't what I pitched him, but I pitched him the idea of like, let's do Kramer, but with someone who doesn't understand the markets.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And we're going to educate that person, and the easiest thing to educate them about is about trends and catalysts and stocks at all-time highs. And by the end of it, Lindsay was totally into it. Lindsay's into the markets, and that was my idea. Instead of like some guy who thinks he knows everything yelling, let's spin the whole model in the YouTube generation. So we got a lot about it right, and there's still a hole.
I just wonder.
There's still a hole for this. But, again, you have to really want to make a show. The problem with content is you make it and it's worthless. And even Johnny Carson stuff. Like, no one thought that they'd be going back 30 years and making CDs about it and selling them as packages because once content's made, it's like dead. Yeah. And so it's a really terrible business. And so I don't want to do it again. But really, I'm shocked that there's not a comedy meets entertainment late night talk show about money and power and because no matter how much fun you make of Goldman Sachs, they would watch. No matter how much fun you make of Jamie Dimon, he'd watch the show. Yep. If you're making fun of like those people, they're not going to complain because they can't, because who are they going to complain to? And secondly, they're going to watch. So you have the best demographic in the world.
Okay, so I got two things to say to you. If CBS didn't buy in Wallstrip for like the $5 million at that time, I wonder if you would eventually got into doing the show like that. I don't think you would. I think you would have stayed at the Wallstrip type thing, the quick clips.
It wouldn't have worked.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have kept working.
It got boring. Yeah,
you had to keep it going. And now Twitter came along, and that might have helped it. But I'm glad we got rid of it because in the end, content's a trap. It's an ego play,
but here's the thing:
it's so much hard
here's
work.
One of the editors of Gawker. So we are looking to hire like editors for Benzinga to get the content more sexy, etc., more link sharing. You know what they said to me? So just like you said, Jamie Dimon would watch, all these guys would watch, which I agree. So Gawker's thing was, everyone's going to write the news of the day. So if Tesla, Elon Musk, everyone's going to write it. But you talk to, let's say a CEO talks to 100 people a day, the one thing they're going to remember a day is who called them an asshole.
Yeah.
So whenever Gawker wrote an article, they made sure to call you an asshole. That was their business model because they knew that the CEO would remember the person that called them an asshole.
Absolutely.
And so they went around the whole day, and that's how Gawker got through the noise. Yeah. So whatever the story was, it could be like Mother Teresa. They're going to figure out a way to make her,
Our little hook was the opposite, Oprah. So there's Oprah or Montel. So I had two things. You can either be Montel Williams or Oprah Winfrey.
What's that mean? I don't even know.
Meaning you could be a miserable prick. And Montel's probably not a miserable prick, but that was the angle he took. And be rich. Yeah. Or you could be Oprah, which is like all, friendly and nice. So you can be remembered for two ways. Make them laugh and make them smile.
Got it.
Which is harder, but that leads to real money. You're Oprah.
Right. Yeah.
Or be miserable and go into the bottom of the barrel.
Yep.
And be remembered, but be a miserable prick. And you're never going to make much money being a miserable prick.
Yep.
I mean, maybe Trump is breaking that. He's broken the mold. He turned being a miserable prick into president of the United States. So I would say he switched the game. But before that, it was Oprah. So my pitch to Fred was, let's do a show about all-time highs. Because you know what? The CEO, its company's doing well. He's going to share the video. It's going to be funny. He's going to share the video with his whole team. You know what I mean? So what happened with us is, even though the shows didn't get a lot of views, when we did the Adobe Streak show, or the Streaker, that was the Adobe Flash.
Okay.
And so the guy would just walk down the street, ask Adobe questions in a raincoat, and flash people. It was really funny.
He didn't really flash anyone there.
No, he had underwear on, but he was a great actor, and he would just ask people questions and flash them.
I was one of the Chelsea handler does that.
And Adobe thought it was the funniest thing.
And they shared it and stuff?
So they ran it at their events.
That's great.
And so we weren't like a mainstream thing, but we got our videos viewed by the right people.
And that's what's powerful.
Yeah. So anyway, content is more about that. Like, I think everybody's trying to get views, and I think the lesson is, like Gawker did the same, it was who was reading.
Yeah.
Gawker was worth the money that it was worth. I mean, they fucked it up, but Gawker was worth the money it was worth because it was the influence. It wasn't so much everybody had to read Gawker. It was who read Gawker.
That's powerful. And like for Benzinga, the way we go about it, everyone like puts their opinion in news, and what we do is with 3 things. One, we say, here's the news. If you believe this, here's a bullish way to go about it. Here's a bearish way. So our articles either should be action-oriented, inspirational, or something that's going to help you. That's it. That's it. The rest is bullshit. Yes, if someone does like Bernie Madoff, we're going to cover it, but try to help people in life. Try to give them more time in their day, more utility, and that's hard to do these days.
And so, how many kids do you have?
I have 3: Riley, Josh, and Arya.
And how old?
10, 8, and 3.
And are they good students? The 3-year-old's not in school yet.
No, but she's pretty funny.
Okay.
But yeah, they're 10 and 8 and 3. I'm trying to get them to read more. I unhooked the TV for the summer. It didn't do shit because they went to the iPad. So I really lost on the TV.
I think reading is one of those lost. My daughter came of the age, Kindle was the tech. So Kindle was she was still a reader. I think if she had been born in the iPad age and started reading back then, I think kids are not as big of readers anymore.
Wait, is Rachel smart?
Rachel's a voracious reader.
So she's
both
smart.
My kids are smart. She's just at another level because I think she reads endlessly.
So I'm saying, is she a good writer?
I don't think she's a good. Writing's different than reading.
But
even though you're a great reader, writing's in your soul if you read a lot, but you have to practice writing.
That's
Just
right.
because you read a lot does not mean you'll be a good writer.
Yeah,
it means you have the potential to be a good writer, but you got to practice. And next up, I got Morgan here to talk about that stuff. But
Morgan's amazing, right?
But yeah, and writing is just that thing that I think the next generation, the kids that write, have a huge edge coming into the next 20 years. You have to be able to help your company get their message across. You have to be able to build copy. You have to be able to tell stories. And writing is still the way to win hearts and minds. Video's cool. Video's viral. But consistent writing is the way to win hearts and minds.
Part of how I got into all this is James Altucher. So I wanted to work for Dan Loeb from Third Point. I started the Dan Loeb Weekly Digest. I give him stock picks every week. Altucher was helping me, and then one day I said, Dan Loeb, I'm tired of seeing you. I want to come join Third Avenue. Yeah. I wrote the wrong name. He's Third Point. He goes, good luck.
Third Point. I was just in his office.
Wow, you were at Third Point?
Yeah.
So I'm literally Dan Loeb writes back. Because he loved my stock. He was pissed I put him on the street.com. He's like, dude, don't put these out. These are great, thought out things. This is before Lehman and all this stuff. So I'm like, I'm done writing these things. I want to join you at Third Avenue. That's what I wrote. I didn't catch my mistake. And then I catch it.
So he was insulted?
So I sent it to Altucher. Mm-hmm. Altucher says, okay, Jason, you're screwed. Now go to your other 2 guys. Well, Altucher's a savant, and he could write to 10 visa. Yeah. These weekly digests I spent a lot of time on. Yeah. I didn't have another backup.
He's a great writer.
And so Altucher goes, give me 2 minutes, and I'll get right back to you, Jason. He goes, send this back to Dan, basically. He helped me. Yeah. I go, Dan, I just wanted to make sure you're reading this. So I was messing around. He's like, I like a sense of humor. Come meet with me next week. Cool. And that was right. But that's the writing. The
very funny Dan Loeb story.
You do?
Recent. So my friend Matt Ober, great guy. He was at WorldCon. Now he works for Dan running.
We love Matt Ober.
Love the guy. Genius. Would back him in a minute.
Yep.
Always trying to convince him to start a company. Just was way ahead of the curve, way in the dark areas of data working at WorldCon.
And he hustled too. He got a job from Craigslist.
He's a legend. His brother works for Twitter. Anyways, he just got married too, Matt.
Yep.
So
congrats, Matt.
He hits me up. He goes, "You got to meet Dan." I'm like, look at me. Like this, I'm not presentable, and I don't even know what Dan looks like. I'm not into this stuff. So I don't even know what Dan looks like. But he goes, "You got to meet Dan. He's gonna love you." Yada yada yada. So I'm unprepared, and I go, I'm not pitching. I have nothing to pitch. So I don't have an idea. So I go to Loeb's office there on Park Avenue.
Yep, and beautiful office.
And dude,
I mean, it's like. It's what you see in Billions.
Yeah. I should have just taken a Tide pen and wrecked some of his paintings.
You should have brought the art thing too.
Yes. Dan, listen. So I sit down. It's a beautiful conference room.
I'm dying to hear the story right now.
Yeah. And I'm sweating a little bit. I'm just not good in these meetings. And he comes in, and there's no way he was unprepared for this meeting. He's Dan fucking Loeb. So the first question is like, why am I here? And it's bullshit because Matt Ober had primed him, so I'm immediately off guard.
Yeah.
So I go into my background, and I'm not prepared to go through. What start of my background do I start with? And how long is this meeting? Like, I don't know. Why am I even here? So I'm sweating already. And
what were you
so
wearing?
he's already put me on defense.
What were you wearing, though?
A nice shirt.
Okay.
But, I was uncomfortable. I wasn't wearing Lulu or anything. I wasn't wearing sandals. So I was way out of my element.
Yep.
And about 30 seconds into my background, he goes, "You remind me of somebody." And he goes, "Ron Popeil." You know Ron Popeil? Okay. And I immediately was like, it was like a left, like straight to my, and Matt Ober's like 11 years old. He doesn't know who Ron Popeil is. And I immediately was just shaken. Because to me, it was like the insult of and so Matt and I laugh about this all the time now, because every time I meet, I go, that motherfucker punched me right between the eyes 30 seconds of the meeting. So I couldn't concentrate the rest of the meeting, because Ron Popeil.
Is he like the workout guy, right?
No, he is like the guy who would sell, he was like the original Ginsu guy. He would go on TV for hours and sell shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Basically, he was calling me a con man.
Yes.
Basically, he.
Oh my God.
And so I was just. By the end of the meeting, I was like sweating. It felt like I was in a marathon. And he pulled every trick in the book. Like 20 minutes into the meeting, his secretary came in and said, I want to remind you about your... You
knew what was going on.
Like, why was I in this meeting?
Yeah.
And so finally, the meeting ends. And I'm just drenched. And I'm like, Matt, why did you do it? Matt goes, I think it went great. And I'm like, you don't know who Ron Popeil is. Like, go look it up. So he Wikipedia's Ron Popeil. And so to this day, he goes, I don't think he meant it as an insult. And I'm like, you don't understand.
I think you should send Dan juicers and shit now.
Yeah, I should really do that. But I don't care to be in that world. I don't think his life is any better than anybody else's.
I know we got to end shortly because we have Morgan and stuff, but here's my hustle. So I love those. We sell news and stuff. So I wanted to meet David Einhorn. I freaking pay to play in a poker tournament, a Hillel one. It's $2,500. Okay,
what's the play? 30-cent hands.
$2,500 buy-in. I'm like, this is way over my thing.
Okay. So everybody was nervous.
So I get there. No, but there's all these hedge fund guys. I find out later that who's the Tepper? He buys his whole team the entries. Everyone's buying their own thing, and I come with my money. This is like 4 or 5 years. I'm like, I'm not gonna get. So I'm $200. I'm gonna do my best.
Try and make it.
I want to get to the final table, and anyway. Then we're at the thing, and they're like, rebuys. I'm like, rebuys? I'm not rebuys. I'm not rebuying. So I'm not that great of a poker player. I'm literally the most focused guy in the history of the world. You can't even imagine. I was watching everything. I was doing whatever things. Well, anyways, I have it on video and stuff. I get to the final table out of 300 people. I won a trip to to wherever.
What about Ackman?
So Ackman was in it. Einhorn was in it. Tepper was in it.
But who'd you get to meet him?
So Tepper I sat next to. He was the second on final table. He got out. I got to the final table with David Einhorn.
Oh,
no, David Einhorn. That's green light.
Is that a toupee that he wears?
Oh, that's interesting. I don't think so. I don't know.
I would have had to afflict it if I was sitting there.
Okay.
So anyways, you're sitting
I'm next to him. We're like 6 people left. And he goes all in, and I pocket tens, and I fold the. I go, I'm folding my pocket tens because I'm here, dude. I paid $200 to meet you, he goes, and he goes, you cannot fold that. You can't do that next time. He starts calling me he was very funny. I don't want to say he was very funny. Maybe
so he bluffed you out.
No. I folded because I don't want him to lose. I wanted to play with him longer, and I showed him. I paid the money. I didn't even care about winning. And then next hand comes.
That's why you're not a billionaire.
The next hand comes pocket queens, and he goes all in. I called him and then knocked him out. And I have the.
You knocked him out.
I knocked David Einhorn out and have it on video. And he's so.
Well, next time you're in Phoenix, stop in. I don't think we talked about anything that we meant to talk about, which is why a podcast is good.
Yeah, Benzinga, if you ever want to get in touch, I'm Jason at Benzinga.
Good point.
If you're around New York, at jason@benzinga.com. If you're around New York in November, come to the bzawards.com or BZ Cannabis in Chicago. It's just fun stuff. We try to connect investors to companies, companies to investors, and get excited. Doing awesome stuff with StockTwits too. And it's fun being at the infancy of all this stuff. I mean, I was there before the thing existed.
That's what you want kids to believe. We didn't have to get rich off of it. We have the stories. Kids need stories.
I literally remember the old site. I remember exactly what it looks like.
It was a Tumblr site. But the thing is even with my son, it's like these kids don't have the stories. So this Vegas story, even though it went wrong, I looked at Max later that night because we were in bed. We had we were at hotels tonight. I was like, he was really bummed because now he's lost his ID. And so he's got no game for the next 6 months until he turns 21. I go, listen, you shouldn't have been doing this stuff anyways. And I said, this is a funny Vegas story. We are literally banned from the Encore
It's
and Win.
Unbelievable. And you know what sucks for Max? Every single person I know, all these girls from my high school, when we were in high school, 17 years old, every single one I know, maybe like 20, flew to Arizona. All you had to do was bring a birth certificate and a random picture and got real fake IDs in the
He's
DMV.
working another one.
Yeah, okay.
So.
All right, well, thank you, Howard.
right.
On Twitter, Jason Raznick. See you guys later.
All right.
Okay.